How's it going, everyone? Got a lot to talk about in this video. We've got an update on a free-to-play title that looks really good coming from Nexon and Nexon Games. That is the first Descendant. The story trailer for that game has just dropped. If you have a PC, the beta test will be kicking off very soon, but it will ultimately be coming to PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 sometime down the line as well, so we'll talk all about that. Got some Gotham Knights news that shouldn't surprise me too much, but leaves me absolutely flabbergasted. You guys like the use of that word there? My vocabulary is expanding. Let's go. But for real, the fact we're getting this information this late in the game, right before the game drops, is kind of wild, so we'll talk all about that. And the Dead Space remake gets an extended gameplay walkthrough. More on that and my thoughts on the game at the end of this video. But first of all, the first Descendant story trailer has dropped. Now, this is a game that looks like a very technically impressive free-to-play action RPG. Looks solid, a looter shooter. The cinematic story trailer notes the new cinematic explains how almost a century ago humans were defeated by the Vulgus, invaders from another world who were followed by the Colossi to decimate civilization. However, humans found a shred of hope for the future using the reawakened ancestor power. Descendants fought back with newfound strength to finally defeat the invaders. Humans survived, but a new threat emerged. Carl, the new malevolent Vulgus leader, is leading the world to eternal darkness. Now the Descendant must fight back once again to save humanity from the brink of collapse. It's a third-person cooperative action RPG shooter in which you play as descendants who inherited the unknown powers and make them stronger to fight against the invaders and protect humans. Again, from a technical standpoint, the game looks rather impressive. If you have a PC, you'd need a decent gaming PC, but nothing too over the top. You can check out the minimum and recommended system requirements. Minimum is pretty tame, all things considered, but you can request access to the beta over on Steam. This is a PC-exclusive beta. The upcoming beta will have a total of 10 unlockable characters, each with unique abilities as well as missions, weapons, grappling hooks, and huge boss fights. Fans eager to play in the Steam beta should sign up in advance to secure a spot, as there will be limited opportunities to join the event once it goes live. Players can wishlist the game and sign up for the beta on the first Descendant Steam page. Fans wanting to learn more about the lore, history, characters, and other details of the game should visit the new First Descendant website, and they have that link there as well. Again, the beta will be kicking off October 20th, 12 a.m. Pacific time. That's 3 a.m. Eastern, and it'll be running till October 26th at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time, 2:59 a.m. Eastern, so you'll have a decent bit of time to play it if you do want to check out the beta itself. Obviously, this is going to be a game with a plethora of different characters, a lot of customization, and cooperative play is at the heart of the game, so once it ultimately comes out, you're probably going to want to play the game with a couple of friends. We plan on doing a full video on this game once the beta drops and we get a little bit more information about the game, but as far as free-to-play titles go, this is one you should definitely have on your radar. It looks like a rather good one, and hopefully the beta turns out well, and they get some good and much-needed feedback in terms of developing the game. It will be interesting to see how it runs on PlayStation 4 versus PlayStation 5, because the game does look technically impressive. Speaking of PlayStation 4 versus PlayStation 5, that brings me to my next point: Gotham Knights, a game that was canceled on the PS4 and Xbox One, and a lot of people were a bit befuddled as to why. The game isn't that technically impressive. I checked it out, and it's a good-looking game, don't get it twisted, but it's not a game that I would say is absolutely a technical masterclass. Far from it, to be perfectly honest. And now it has been noted that Gotham Knights, WB Games Montreal, has confirmed that the game will be on consoles and will run at 30 frames per second with no performance or quality option. It'll just be 30 frames per second flat due to the types of features we have in our game, like providing a fully untethered co-op experience. In our highly detailed open world, it's not as straightforward as lowering the resolution and getting a higher FPS. For this reason, our game does not have a performance and quality toggle option and will run at 30 frames per second on consoles. Now, I can almost understand why the game is running at 30 frames per second with a cooperative experience, but at the same time, why can't the solo experience be running at 60 frames per second? You guys know me, and sometimes you guys think I make way too big of a deal about a game running at 30 FPS versus 60 FPS. Personally speaking, I think the gameplay experience is widely different at 60 frames per second. I much prefer it. I think it's a far smoother game, and the PlayStation 5 titles that I've played, whether it be Horizon, whether it be Ratchet, I always go for the 60 frames per second option over the 30 frames per second option. If you prefer the 30 FPS option with the better visuals, the better resolution, whatever the case may be, more power to you. But the imperative word I just used is option, and that's what I like games to offer. The option to play exactly how I want it. If I want to play cooperative play at 30 frames per second, that's fine. But if I play solo, I feel like I should be getting a 60 frames per second experience. But this really does explain why the game was canned on Xbox One and PlayStation 4, because if it's running at a locked 30 frames per second on consoles, what would the game have ran on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One? Surely it would have been at a lower resolution, lower graphical settings, everything like that. But, yeah, that makes a lot of sense as far as that's concerned. That's very, very disappointing. I feel like performance and quality mode options should be a standard across the board unless you feel comfortable with offering 60 frames per second to everybody for a game. I feel like you should have a quality and performance option, and even if the game, like, docks down the quality settings to an extreme degree, I would like a 60 frames per second option. Or again, if like the solo experience, you should have the option to have a 60 frames per second experience. I feel like in the year 2022, that should be a relatively standard thing. I'm still excited for the game, definitely. You know, it's gonna be a big open world for you to explore, and I think a lot of people are gonna enjoy it, but I don't know about you guys. I know a lot of you guys think I put too much credence on 60 frames per second, but I feel like it's a big factor for games going forward, and I would really like that to be the standard. At least, I would like the standard to be offering an option for 60 frames per second. If you can't do 4K ray tracing 60 frames per second, I totally understand that. Anyone expecting that going into the PS5 era was delusional. Some people were thinking 8K 60 FPS. Yeah, that was never gonna happen, but I'd like the 1080p 60 FPS option to be standard across the board on all video games, but rather disappointing in my opinion. Lastly, I do want to note Dead Space Remake extended gameplay walkthrough has dropped. 8 minutes of footage has dropped on this. A lot of hands-on gameplay has dropped as well. Game is a lot like, you know, you would recall it to be, and I definitely get a little bit of flashback and a little bit of nostalgia checking it out. Very, very reminiscent, and this is one of my most anticipated games for 2023 thus far, and best of all, we get it early 2023, January 27th. It will be a $70 game, which I can definitely understand, you know, much like Gotham Knights. That's a $70 game as well, and that's going to be a standard for a lot of games going forward, but Dead Space is a game that, it's not like Dead Space has an obscene amount of content or anything like that. It is not a super short game, but it's on the shorter side, comparatively speaking, to a Gotham Knights that's going to offer you this big open world to explore, but still very much excited. I'll do what I can. I'll support the game, and I want more Dead Space in the future, so hopefully this paves the way for either, I don't know, a Dead Space 2 remake. I'd still play that as well, because I love Dead Space 2, but, you know, a new Dead Space title would be pretty damn awesome as well. But that is going to do it for me. Again, the first Descendant gets its story trailer. I think the game looks quite good. The fact it has a narrative emphasis as well is pretty exciting, because it is a free-to-play title, and, yeah, technically pretty impressive. Steam beta kicks off on the 20th, so check that out if you are interested. Gotham Knights, bummer news here. It will be running at 30 frames per second with no performance and quality option to offer a 60 frames per second experience. Dead Space Remake gets an extended gameplay walkthrough. 8 minutes of new footage has dropped on that. That's gonna do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.